What's up, everybody? Hello, I'm Jana Niksa, the Authentic Sales Coach. In today's video, I'm going to be talking back about my authentic sales process and really some of the qualities and the skill sets and the intention that you want to bring when you're practicing a more conscious, heart-based sales model, aka authentic selling, which is what I teach. So, for anybody that's new to the channel, welcome. As I said, I am the Authentic Sales Coach, and I teach entrepreneurs, specifically coaches, consultants, how to get more high ticket clients, how to walk them through a simple sales process and close them without being pushy and salesy. And so let's begin. Okay, so before we really dive into it, I actually put my other, where did I put it? Oh, here we go. We have to talk about energy. You guys know, anybody that's not new here, you know I like to mix the woo and the do. When it comes to sales, it brings up all of your stuff, right? It's like having children. And so this idea of, oh, we can just you know, like do a script, fake it till you make it kind of stuff that most people teach really doesn't work. Ask me how I know. I spent over 20 years as a top performing sales executive, and I couldn't ever do it the way they told me to. And I know there's a lot of other people out there like me who just don't resonate with that typical bro approach to sales. And so that's what we're going to talk about. All right, 1 second. Wrong thing here. And yes, welcome back to 1985 with my handy dandy little flip chart. But you know what? I find when I work with my clients, I repeat myself so often. And even doing these videos with you guys. So it's like, why not just stick it on, like cut and paste it right back up here for everybody. So before I tell you really the steps to doing this, I want you to understand something about energy when it comes to sales. So, people say that they, the whole like know, like, and trust factor, but it's really not necessarily about that. It's also about a frequency of certainty and conviction that you hold that builds a level of trust in your capabilities to do what you're saying you're going to do, right? That's really what know, like, and trust is. It's not necessarily that they just like you the best. Okay. I love my best friend, but I'm not going to hire her to be my coach. And so it is in your ability to understand how your ideal client thinks and really what they need and what they want and how your offer fits into that. Okay. So I just want to set that as the foundation because your energy is going to reflect that. And so if you're just up there regurgitating a script or you're not super wild about your offer or you're not super clear on how it really fits into what they need, it makes it so much harder to sell. And your energy is going to reflect that, right? So if you look here at the Hawkins scale, this is a measure of the vibrations of the levels of consciousness, right? He used kinesiology to work this thing out. And as you consider, this is the line of neutrality. So anytime you're below this line, you're in a forceful state or an egoic state. Anytime you're above this line, you're in your power or in your higher mind, or you could even say your heart. So the authentic sales approach that I teach stays above this line. Okay. You stay out of your ego as much as humanly possible. And so in order to really be in that state, you have to be able to lead with your heart, but you also have to have the foundation of truly believing in what you do and that it is the highest good for all involved. Okay. So that's why I always encourage my clients to start with their offer. If they're not fully committed and convicted and confident and clear on how that offer truly is going to change that person's life, and they can't speak to it in a way that deeply resonates with their ideal client, then, the rest of the sales conversation, all of these other qualities really do fall apart. Okay. Because at the end of the day, people are making a big decision. You have to have the ability to walk them through that decision, But if you're not clear on the what's in it from that for them at the start, it's going to be really difficult. So before anything else, get locked and loaded on an incredible high ticket offer that has all sorts of multidimensionality to it. We talk about that in another video. Maybe I'll have my person link that to that video of, it's not just about you get this many calls and this many things and yada, 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 and this many modules, right? Like we need depth in our offers. If they're going to be high ticket, they need to have, other experts, other experiences, events. Like these are all things that I talk about inside my coaching container, Limitless Expansion. The link for all of that information is below. But the point is you have to start there. That is where everything builds from. Because if you don't have that intact, you're going to be trying to fake it. Okay. And if you don't have clarity, even if you are convicted, if you don't have the clarity to speak to it in a way that your client deeply understands, then you're still going to feel off, right? We can always tell when somebody comes to the table with full on in their power. They're clear on what they're doing. They're completely convicted and confident in their ability. But then from there, we have to soften it. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to elaborate on that. But I just don't want you to think it's just all like, sunshines and rainbows and la di da, because a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about in the sales process, believe it or not, is when you live in this space, but not without the foundation of believing with every bone in your body, in your ability, in what you do, and how this offer is going to change their life. Okay. And if you need help on that, then I would certainly encourage you to reach out, because that is going to make everything so much easier. Don't skip on that part of the process. Okay. Now, once we have that offer intact and we've done our due diligence as the CEO in our business around how to communicate and message and share and vocalize what this offer is, whether it's on a social media platform or on somebody's podcast or shoot at a networking event, then, we are inviting them to sales calls, right? And so we don't have to call them that. I like to call them specific solution calls, so that people come in knowing that you're going to really help them and go deep on a specific situation or specific frustration or a challenge that they're having, and you're going to help them with that specific thing. We never skimp on that. Okay. The days of just, hey, let's hop on a clarity session have come to an end at this point. Like we have to be really clear about what they need and speak to that and invite them to a call where we're going to address that one thing. All right. So once you do that, there's a few rules that I like to talk about here, because we never want to bait and switch. This is like the slimiest, grossest thing you could do to somebody, is invite them to a call and then they think they're coming on to get some help from you with that specific solution that you said you'd provide. And then next thing you know, they're just selling you. Like we've all been there. And it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? And you're kind of taken back, like, is this seriously happening? And so we can't do that to people. It breaks trust immediately. And I know some coaches teach that, but there's actually a loving way to do this and just kind of a jerk off way to do this. And so instead of, helping them, and they feel, you can tell that they feel like, wow, this is really good. This was helpful. And you can ask them, was this helpful? I know it's crazy. Just ask. And then you can lead into the quote unquote sales portion. And so you've established first and foremost that they have a need that you can fulfill. You're convicted, right? You know that your offer is exactly what fills in the gaps they need. And so the next move then is, hey, I do support people in a lot of the things that we talked about today. Would you like to hear more about how I do that? Okay. Most people are going to say yes. If you've knocked their socks off with what your expertise in a specific part of their business, almost everybody, I think pretty much everyone has always said, yes, I'd love to hear more. Okay. And so then you basically go into your offer and how you support people. Okay. No tricks, no manipulation. It's like, you came, I told you, I delivered on what I said, and now I'm asking permission to sell to you. Okay. And so that makes this whole transition not sleazy. Another thing you could do is invite them to another call. Okay. However, I would highly recommend, if you can make that transition, step into your power, be unapologetic, and just invite them. I would highly recommend, if you're able to do it on that call, go into it at that point. Okay. If time permits, right? So then this is where all of this comes in now. Okay. Because you've asked permission, establish the need, and now it's all about, you know, sharing with them about the offer. But here's the level of energy that you want to have as you're walking them through this. You have to keep your ego out of this. This is about them. It is not about you. So if at any point, as you're talking about this, as you're asking questions, if your ego's trying to come in and like control the conversation, or like, you know, starts telling you stories about you have to close this sale and putting all this unnecessary pressure on you, or, you know, the three languages of the ego. We've talked about this before, but I'll remind you again. I actually got this from one of my spiritual teachers, Aaron Abke, and he says it's the lack, consciousness, stories, the doer, and control and attachment. Anytime you're in any of those three, you're in your ego. And so we have to learn, as business owners that are going to have sales conversations, how to put that stuff aside so that we can continue to focus on the person and serving them at the highest level. Okay. So remaining unattached, remaining neutral is first. The second thing is you want to lean out. And what I mean by this is everybody's so used to this whole like high pressure sales situation. So when you can come at it with the energy of, you know, buy, don't buy, I'm good either way, it lets people feel more safe to really open up about what their issues are. Okay. So just knowing that piece alone and having somebody experience the fact that you're not going to push them is going to be a life-changing experience for them. Chances are they haven't experienced that before. I hear horror stories, and I'm sure you've experienced them too. And so when we can come with that non-needy energy, not only does it make them feel more safe, it also makes them feel like you are good at what you do, because you don't have to push people into working with you, right? So we've all dealt with needy people. We've all dealt with like that desperate girl at the bar, or a needy ex-boyfriend or family member. Nobody's buying that. So don't give off that vibe. Okay. So again, you're good either way. Something else that's really, really important that I talked about with the ego is you can't want it more than they do. So we have to practice that non-attachment piece. Okay. So again, if the ego starts to come in and like, oh my gosh, you got to do this, like that energy, we have to remove it from the conversation. So this is all about you cultivating awareness, because you'll notice when it starts to enter in. And the very best thing you can do in that moment is come back to your breath and be present with the person in front of you and listen. Okay. When you can focus on them, and you're in the present moment, the ego, there's no space for it there. It cannot exist there. Okay. So it's really, really key that you hold that point of non-attachment, of neutrality as you speak to them. Okay. And, you know, so some other little tricks that I like to do before a sales call is I will set the intention for the highest good of all. And, you know, make sure that I stay grounded while I'm talking to somebody. Okay. Like if I notice that I'm off up in space, like thinking about what I'm going to say next, and again, like stepping into that controlling the outcome energy, then I've lost them. I've lost my focus and I have to redirect. And it's okay, you guys. Like I know I'm saying things. These are skill sets. These are the things I work on with clients, right? It's not like I can just tell you that and it's like check. It's kind of like me saying just be confident, right? Like these are practices and it is a process to learn how to do this. And when you are, though, what you'll find is you can just trust yourself and your intuition as you're taking people through sales conversations. And when you can let them flow in that way and you feel zero emotional charge around it, the magic can happen. I have had people buy from me where I didn't even present the offer. I have had people want to work with me who didn't even hear all the pieces. It's amazing when you can truly show up, help them be seen, heard, and validated, and how much more magical when you stay above this line. Oh, look at my little rainbow. Um, that people just know. I can't tell you how many people I work with that are like intuitive and they're like, my whole body is just like, yes. And then you've probably been on those calls before with those people, and there's just something in your gut that says, even though they're saying all the right things and yada yada, there's something in your gut that says no, right? And so it's not what you say, it's how you say it and who you are when you say it. So if you can care more about that person than you do about the dollar sign, you win, period. The one that cares more wins. So that is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this heart-based consciousness selling. Okay. Now, of course, there's a framework, right? We don't just get on there and willy-nilly and just kind of let it go where it does. I mean, we are taking them through a decision-making process, but with a lot more heart, with a lot more, um, like a more consciously evolved approach, way less talking, way more listening. And then when the fears come up, I've even said, like, can I have permission to just speak freely? Or can I help you? Can I help like reflect something back to you? Like, I really feel like when you build that rapport at this level, the coaching begins and you're already helping them. Because what I believe about investing is I'm so grateful that I became an empowered investor in my business. I would absolutely not be where I am today. This to me has made me resourceful, resilient, sovereign. Like the amount of things I know now because I bought somebody else's expertise, because I bought myself time, because I quantum leaped my business, because I didn't want to go through the long drawn out learning curve of figuring it out myself. Because I did that, now I know. That's why you see these millionaires and even billionaires, sometimes they lose everything, right? And then they're right back where they were because they have the quality, they have the skill sets, they have the mindset, and they have the identity to do it again. And no one can ever take that from you. So I'll end with this. I used to be so scared. And so let me say this about that though, before I move on. The ability to be able to walk people through that because I've been there, so that when they come up with like the money objection, for example, I can truly meet them where they are. And I can also show them what the other side of empowered investing looks like. Because I've been on both and I get it. But unless you know that and have done that, it's so much harder to hold that frame for people. But I firmly believe in it. I believe investing in your business education is going to get you farther, and the ROI is exponential in comparison to the investment. But because of the work that I've done around that, and because of the experience around that, I'm able to really speak to it freely. And so, it's no longer like, let me handle the objection by, yeah, you don't have to get Starbucks or, whatever crazy stuff that a lot of these fear based sales approaches take. And it really becomes like from one soul to another. Like, this is what you need. This is your right next step. Like, let's figure out how to do it. And I get it because I used to be afraid. I thought, oh, this is going to save my business. But I mean, just think about, are we in our power or are we in our fear when we're having those sorts of thoughts about our business? So when I got in my power around my business because I had an unwavering certainty in my vision, then like it became a no-brainer. It's like, fine, I'll spend X amount today, but I'm going to 10X that in tomorrow. And so no one can ever take that from you. No matter what happens out there in the world, no matter what happens with the economy or the stock market or real estate, like no one can ever take that. Like, I'm always going to bet on me. And that was a very valuable lesson. And I guess the reason I'm sharing it is I was actually on a sales call yesterday. And out of everything we talked about, like she said, that was the most powerful piece for her because it isn't just this like, oh, we have so much baggage around money. But as entrepreneurs, we have to look at it differently. We have to see money differently. It can, you cannot get back time, but you can make so much more money. And so just understanding that it's part of it. And the more you learn and the faster you get each step in that you need, the quicker you'll get to the ROI. But there's a process, there is a learning curve. And so, I share all of that with you guys because it's so key that you can speak from a place of experience, that you can speak from a place of knowing, and not get in fear. I remember a coach saying a long time ago, like, don't get drunk at their party. And that's right. Like, if they're stuck in that, the lack and the I don't have enough and those pieces, we can understand where they are. And that may be very true for them in this moment, but it's certainly not, it's an illusion of who they really are. And I know that now. And that's keeping it above the line because I can talk to them from a place of neutrality and truly wanting to serve them. And if nothing else does on that call, I hope it is that, because it is the best decisions I've ever made. Even the quote unquote wrong coaches or the ones that didn't really help me still got me closer to my goal than further away. And I like to think at the end of the day, they really were doing their best and not hold it against them. And so I know we've all been burned, but I think what I'm trying to say as we wrap this thing up, even though I said that like 10 minutes ago, is, what you really want to do is be able to be your authentic self on these calls, speak from your heart, and trust your intuition. Because what I shared with that girl on the call yesterday, I never shared that on a call before. I've never shared that on a video before. But it's truly how I feel. And I think if more people understood that piece and that everything is just another breadcrumb getting you closer, that vision that you hold for yourself is an actual reality. So long as you continue to move towards it, it moves towards you. Rumi says, what you seek is seeking you. It brings this whole idea of sales calls and investing and money and worthiness and all of this. It gives it an entirely different energy. And so, anyways, let me know. Please like this video if you felt like it was something that served you. Share it with those that also need to understand sales can be far more spiritual than we have been led to believe, and that you can keep it above the line. And I will see you all next week. Bye for now.